Welcome back to another UNC basketball recruiting podcast here on TarHeelIllustrated.com. And if you're checking us out on our YouTube channel, Tar Heel Illustrated, it's THI publisher Andrew Jones, and we continue to roll out our Class of 2021 Snapshot Series where we look at the kids that have been offered so far by UNC and some of the targets we think that could be offered by the Tar Heels as Roy Williams and his staff continue to dive into the Class of 2021. Join me as he always does, because this is his series. He's the guy that's writing this series. We run his written piece one day on a kid. The next day we do we run the podcast on the site. Our director of basketball recruiting, Clint Jackson. And Clint, so far the site's been fantastic, very, very well received. And I think people are going to be really interested in hearing what you had to say in this particular edition, because we're talking about Jabari Smith, one of the top players in the class. Number 5 overall in the nation, 6'9" power forward, big time player. So what can you tell everybody about Jabari Smith?
One of the best players in the country. And by the way, I love doing these snapshots. I love doing the videos. I love writing the content because you get to put a lot of information, break it up into different subjects. And, you get the pulse of the recruitment as it is right now. And you also get a thorough evaluation. And so far I've seen most of these, I think almost every one of these kids. So it's been fun that I've been able to do the eval, but Jabari Smith, I think he's a top 5 player in the nation. He's tremendously long. He's very skilled. He's a good athlete. He's more of a 4 than a 3, but he's one of those guys that you can use him all over the court. He's very versatile, long, block shots, rebounds, runs the floor. He can grab the ball off the defensive glass and lead the break. And he's just a tremendous prospect. And I think he would have been a guy that we'd have been talking a lot about had we had an AAU circuit this spring.
When you say more of a 4 than a 3, is he just another one of these kind of modern-day stretch 4 type kids, or is he a kid that's kind of working toward becoming more of a stretch 4?
Great question. I think he's a stretch 4, but the stretch part, I don't know that he's a great outside shooter yet. I think he's got to get a little bit better with his ball handling, but he's just so versatile. He can handle the ball, he can get by people, but he's really good near the basket. I compare him, like position-wise to Apollo Banchero. In fact, I would pay money to see those 2 elite power forwards go head-to-head because I think they're the best 2 power forwards in the class if you don't consider Chet Holmgren a power forward. A lot of good players, Patrick Baldwin, John Kaminga, who may or may not reclass, but this class is loaded with tremendous power forwards, and Jabari Smith is definitely one of them.
Does he get up and down the floor real well? Is he would he be a fit in Roy Williams' system?
Yeah, he runs well. No problem running. He's quick. He's agile. He's athletic. He moves well. I think that you could set him up on a low block. He could do some stuff with his back to the basket, but I also think he can face up. And if he gets in isolation, he can put the ball on the floor and go by who's guarding him. So just a tremendous, versatile defensive matchup liability.
All right, it's time for my favorite question. We do this at every one of these podcasts in this series. What is something that might, in an observation you have, that might surprise people who know a lot about his game that's sort of a take of yours of his game?
I think it's, all the stuff I've mentioned is what he does the best. But I think what I really liked about him is he actually had a little soft touch from short range. A lot of guys, they get the ball inside about 12 feet from the basket and they want to put it on the floor. And sometimes if they could have popped that jump shot, it would have been a little better. He can pop that little soft jump shot from 12, 13 feet, and I really like that about him.
So what's the pulse, Jabari Smith in North Carolina?
Well, I think that's the first school out of his mouth right now. So they've made an impact. They've jumped in on the recruitment, but he's a huge SEC target. So you got a lot of schools in on him, like Auburn's, Georgia Tech, Tennessee is doing well with him. If you look at that, if you just look at the United States map and you take that entire southeast portion, basically all those schools are on Jabari Smith.
I would think every school in America would be happy to take him. If he wanted to go to Oregon State, I'm sure they'd welcome him with open arms. He's watching him on film, it's one of those kids where you watch a 3-minute highlight run and you want to watch another one, and then you want to watch another one.
Yeah, he's definitely a lot of fun to watch, and I'm really missing the AAU circuit right now, but he would have been one of the first guys I would have watched. Him and, Hunter Salas, Kennedy Chandler, kids like that. I just love watching guys like that. They excite me to watch.
If you want to get even more insight, deeper insight, you got to become a member of TarHeelIllustrated.com. Just $8.33 a month. Clint's all over the message boards. The written piece is not the same thing that we do in the podcast. The podcast fills in the cracks and then some. So you got to be a subscriber to read Clint's written pieces and, of course, all of his tidbits on our message board. Thanks a lot, Clint.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys watching.
All right, for Clint Jackson, this is Andrew Jones. You've been watching another Class of 2021 Snapshot Series podcast right here on TarHillIllustrated.com. Thanks for stopping by.